Okay, now we got our scale, we got our columns located. The last thing we're gonna do is draw in our joists and girders, okay? On this job, the girders are going this direction. So I'm just gonna draw in a heavy line that goes basically from column to column. I leave a little gap at each one. If it was a cantilevered, I'd show that a little bit differently. I would actually show the girder going over the top of the column. That's the one reason I leave a definite gap here in this sketch, okay? So we got girder, 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 etc. Now we want to do the joist, go in this direction. Now, the thing about how we draw the joists, or to simplify how we draw joists, we need to understand something about how buildings are built. Now this is a metal deck and joist system. And there's a very standard way those are built, which when it's built that way, 95% of the time, you're gonna be able to draw the joist just like this. And that is this, visualize how they build the building. The walls are up, there's a concrete slab, and there's no roof. What they do, first thing they do, is they stand up these three columns, and then they put a girder from the wall to the column, another girder from column to column, another girder from column to column, and the last girder from column to wall. And they usually have a forklift or something just holding those columns in place, kind of stable, because the whole thing is very flimsy at that point. So then, here's the key. The next thing they do is they add in what we call a tie joist. That is a single joist that goes from the column to the wall, another single joist from the column to the wall, and another single joist to the column to the wall. And normally those are just bolted. A couple of bolts, just enough to hold it all in place and stable. These are called tie joists. So they haven't put in any other joists yet, just the tie joists. Then they go to the next girder line, add in tie joists, and then the subsequent girder line and add in tie joists. Now they're at a place where they got all the girders in, all the tie joists in. Now they come in and fill in the rest of the joists. Now the engineer is going to determine what the spacing of these joists is supposed to be. Normally what they'll do in this kind of construction is whatever the spacing is, they will make them equally spaced between these joists. I'll illustrate what I mean. So I'm standing in this store, and first of all, I visually verify that there truly is a joist aligned with each column. Secondly, I visually verify that from column to column, it looks like the joists are equally spaced, okay? In this case, there are 8 equal spaces in this bay. So I'm going to write that right here, 8 equal. I look at the next bay, do the same verification, and what do you know? They're all 8 equal spaces. Now, it's reasonable to expect that since these are all very similar dimensions, 39'1" to 39'10" or 11. Now, had this been 39'1" and maybe this been 55 feet, this might have had, 11 or 12 equal spaces, and this only 8 equal spaces. But as it is, 8, 8, 8, 8. Now I need to draw in my joists at 8 equal spaces. So I can either figure out what that dimension is and do the scale thing, or go the easy way. Get your scale and find a convenient location. I'm using a 1/4 inch per foot, although the scale is meaningless. I'm just looking for numbers. And I'm going to put my 0 on that line. And when I look at this way, I come to 6. Well, I need 8. So if I go at an angle like that, just want you to follow me here. Doesn't make sense at first, but once you see it, you're going to go, aha. When I go that direction, I've got my 0 is dead on that line, my 8 is dead on that line. What that means is this: I've got 8 equal spaces. If I put a little tick at 1, at 2, at 3, at 4, at 5, at 6, at 7, at 8. And I draw lines through these. These are now at 8 equal spaces. See, I didn't even have to pick up my calculator to do this. Just boom, it's done. 8 equal spaces here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eight equal spaces everywhere. I'm not going to really worry about these bays, but I want to draw them in definitely where my RTUs occur, because I want a visual verification that the way I'm laying this out is indeed correct. So and I visually verify this unit is not all the way at the column. It's over at least about a half, 2/3 of a joist bay here, and the unit's more over on these two joists. And I can visually verify that from underneath, so I'm feeling good about that. I'm going to just borrow these for this unit. Here, let me scale it out. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I do a visual verification here. That looks about right. It's a big unit spanning 2 joist bays. Looks good to me. And then let me just get these in the back of the store. And this one there. Sometimes you say, well, I don't need to draw on these lines, but it's good practice to do it, because just when you least suspect it, you're going to make a little bit of an error, and this is going to help you visually catch it before you make a mistake. So in this particular case, I'm able to see that this unit is on the tie joist, or right in line with the column, and one bay to the side, to the right in this case. Everything's looking good. Okay, and there we go. We have our framing plan essentially done.